Yeah, good morning, everyone. Let's start with our daily market commentary. Now, as we see over here, it's basically the daily Nifty chart. And what we see from last 3 days, three green candles have started rising because of the budget expectation plus the results. And it has also made new lifetime highs from last 2 days. Okay. So how the rally starts or the breakouts happen and how far they can go, that is what we are trying to analyze today. If I go back a little to just understand 2, 3 breakouts which has happened in the past to understand the flow. Now, if I see over here, the last breakout, the previous one was 9,700, which was very important mark. Once and twice it tested. On the third time, it breached and it went all the way high. Okay, what we need to understand over here, the bottom which was made was roughly around 9,500. Okay, and the high which was made was around 10,135 or so. Now, what happens over here? The entire rally from the bottom, if you consider, we can basically say roughly around 700 points rally has taken place. On the contrary, if the breakout where it has happened, okay, from this 9,700 mark, we can say 300 to 500 points rally has taken place. Now, after that, it basically opened, it basically, the entire trend was shifted on the sideways. Now, if I just connect a simple line along the trend, you basically see suddenly the candle started going sideways on the right hand side of the trend. Okay, saying that the trend has at least stopped, if not going up, right? And if you see over here also trend stopped, it went down, but again it catched up and basically started going up once again. But that did not happen over here. Now, continuous same highs were maintained, and then a sudden fall came by. Now, what we need to understand, this sudden fall normally comes in 1, 2, 3, and 4 days itself. So the rise may take time to reach a new level, but the fall can come pretty fast, right? Specifically in the last week of expiry, it can be more fast. So this is what we need to understand, that yes, the rallies can take place, but a fall can come. And if the fall comes, we need to know where will it stop. Now, if you see over here, it comes back to the same point called as 9,700, where we can call this as a breakout point, right? So the breakout point, it comes over there and then again it bounces back. So one thing is clear, 500 to 700 points rally on the upside, going sideways, and then it comes back to the same breakout point where it started from. Now let's go ahead and see what happened later on. Later on, again, we see it moved sideways in the zigzag manner, but tried to breach the same high. It successfully breached the same high, but following that 3 days, a continuous red candle was formed. Okay, so this basically gave an indication that a breakout which had happened had lost all the steam. And the second time, what happens over here, in 1, 2, 3, and 4 days, it basically comes back to the same level where it started from, right? So two things which are important. The important breakout point is very, very, very important, because whenever the fall happens, the stop will happen over there. Okay, and second, when does the fall happen? Normally around 500 points from here, or I can say 700 points from where the rally started. Okay, now that time index was 9,500 or so, or 9,700. So if we take 10%, it is around 900, 800 points, right? So roughly around 6 to 7% rally should happen, or 5% rally should happen, and then a fall would come by. So if we see over here, it did breach an important level of 10,130 or so. And again, it came back, tested that level, and then it zoomed up. Okay. Now what happens over here, when it zooms up, we should understand again from here, the breakout has happened. So it was first time it tested, second time it tested, third time it breached. It tested a while and then it just zoomed up. Now when I see over here, the rally was 10,130 or 140 to 10,500 points. So 400 to 500 point rally took place. Okay. Now why this rally was smaller than the previous one? Because the rally had started from bottom 9,700. If you see, there was one clean sweep from 9,700 or so. So when I make a small straight trend line, okay, trying to gauge how this trend was from 9,700 to 10,500. So that was a whooping 800 points rally which took place. Hence, the breakout point, from the breakout point, there was not much steam left. Okay, but still 400, 500 points rally. And then what happens? Again, it pulls one side down, trying to go beyond the trend line. And then multiple highs were formed around the same candles. Now, when we see over here, when it tries to come back or fall, it again comes back to the same breakout point. So what I'm trying to understand from here, two things. One, the breakout points are very important when the fall happens. And second, when the breakout happens, how far it can go. So two ways it can go. Number one, if the rally has started right from below, the rally won't go much. Second, if it has started from the breakout or around breakout zone, then it might go much. Okay, so we'll try to see that and try to understand. But for us, important point is the breakout point of 10,130, where it came back and it bounced exactly around that breakout zone. Once we see here, it again goes up, tries to reach to those levels, but could not, fails to do that, and again comes to that breakout point. So once, twice, and this is the third time when it comes. And when we see it almost breached the point and again zoomed up. Okay, that's fine. And then what we see over here, it comes back to the same level on the day of Gujarat election. Now, if you see over here, there is a small gap up and a complete Mori Bazu that was formed. So during the Gujarat election, as we have already discussed, it exactly stopped around that gap up point, right? Now, why did it stop? Because large amount of selling was done over here. And if you get your same price over here, the sellers were basically the buyers at this point, and then you see the rally once again. Now, for me, the important downside mark for Nifty, as we have discussed, is 10,070. It cannot go easily beyond this 10,050 or 10,070 mark. Why is that so? Because a gap up has happened after a huge steep fall, and a bounce back was quite good enough. Second, even on the day of election results, it has tested once again, and it has shown the resilience of bouncing from this level. Now, what I see over here, in one go, it breaches and it reaches to 10,477, where the previous high was there. Now, second time when we see, it goes there, and then suddenly it tries to go beyond that level, right? So this is the previous high, trying to remain or become the resistance, but now it is trying to go above that line. So kind of a breakout can happen around that zone, but suddenly there is a one complete sweep on the downside. And then what we see, after a red Mori Bazu, continuous down Mori Bazus are not formed. Now, if you see clearly, there is something which is very significant about these two patterns, and something which reveals a lot. If I just try to circle it around, this red Mori Bazu followed by two red Mori Bazu on the downside, right? And second, if you see the same red Mori Bazu, but the two red Mori Bazus which are formed are not on the downside. The exact difference, if you see over here, is quite a lot, right? A follow-up selling is not happening. It is trying to go up. At the end of the day, it goes down, but there is no follow-up selling on the downside. So this kind of pattern recognition is more important for us, where we see that, okay, fine, the resilience is there, not for the downside. So 2 days, it is trying to maintain the level of 10,400 or 430 mark, and then it can clearly show you that one green candle, okay, trying to go on the higher side, right? So what I see over here, if you see the red candle followed by two red candles on the same line, not below that. So below that line, so if you just make a small line, 10,435 is the point, right? And then it goes and it makes a green candle over here. Two things are clear from this analysis. Whenever there is a fall, okay, one should understand that if the fall comes, a follow-up selling does not come, then is a quick reversal will happen. If a fall comes and follow-up selling comes, a quick downfall will happen, right? So that's a good learning for us, one over there. And second, the point why only 10,070 became the bottom of the market during the election day, right? Because there was a previous gap up, green Moribazu. As I'm trying to say, all these good buying and good selling strength on reversal points are very, very crucial and important. Now, when we come over here, a clear pattern divergence can be seen. I call this as divergence because a follow-up selling does not happen, and here a follow-up selling did not happen on the downside. It maintained the level of 10,035, and then a green candle emerged. That's fine, and then it opened gap up. And the important point one should understand, the gap up which happened was exactly above all the resistances of Nifty, that is 10,530 or odd kind of figure. So the point here you need to understand, full red Moribazu, followed up selling does not happen. It is trying to go up, a green candle, then a gap up straight above the resistance point. All these are the sign of bullishness, right? So three confirmations for you to see that, say that yes, Nifty is now out of the woods and might go higher from here on. Now when I see over here, agreed that for us now the resistance point, or I can say the breakout point, is 10,530 mark, and on the down 10,430 mark. Okay, now I cannot count this as a trend. If you see, it is like a U-shaped stuff and then it moved sideways. So the actual trend is starting from this 10,430 mark, right? So this trend is little different from the trend which we had prior or even on this point. Okay, now when we go out and see another green candle, straight away gap up and trying to build on today's gain, right? So there is quite amount of uptrend which has started from the breakout zone. All we can understand now, as per the dates go, the results are going to start, okay, couple of them this week, but most of the results are going to come in next 2 weeks. If the results come in line or better than the expectations, apart from that, the budget rally is also pending for 1st of Feb, right? So there will be a quick up move that will happen. Now we need to understand how much up move can happen. So if we see over here 10,400, add around 600 or 700 points to it, 11,000 can be the up move, right? So I am seeing an up move of 11,000 on Nifty, or 10,800 to 11,000 range is easily possible, and more far it goes till the budget day, I am more happy, right? So once it reaches to that 11,000 mark, what you need to understand, let's put pivot indicator over here just to know, are we correct in our analysis saying that 11,000 or 11,200 point can be reached or not? So if I see for the Jan month, two resistance points are shown to me. One is 10,700 mark. Okay, so that's almost approaching. And the second one is around that 10,900 mark. So both the case, if we go out and see, okay, and straight away then it is 11,200. So there are 3 points, 700, 900 and 200, right, on the cards. Now, the kind of up move which has started over here, obviously it will go to 10,700 and might stop somewhat, then reach to 10,900 or so. And if it reaches to 11,200 in this expiry itself, then we say from the bottom of the rally where 10,400 was there, 11,200 or 11,000 mark is reached. And when that happens, normally a rally of 700 points have taken place from the breakout zone, right? So all we are now we need to understand, we are not trying to be, we are bullish, but we are not making any call strategy over here. One strategy we already discussed, buying 10,600 call and selling 10,800 call, right? So that is there on the cards, but we cannot be bullish. Let him go to 11,000 range or 11,200, and what will happen now we need to understand. So I'm removing the indicator over here just to know for our knowledge. 10,900, 11,200, 10,700, these are the levels where it can easily reach. So first stop 10,700, second 900, and then I can say third around 11,200 or so, correct? Now what you need to understand, if this kind of rally happens, okay, our assumption of 600 to 700 points rally are done, number one. Number two, if you see these kind of rallies happen, then a fall will take place and it will come back to the same breakout zone. So I am saying we need to focus on 10,500 when it goes up over here. A clean sweep downside can happen straight away to 10,500 mark. Now, what can be our base scenario? As per the dates go, we are clear that results will come and then you have budget on 1st Feb, right? So it will keep going high. Now you need to realize when the budget is out and it is done, the next week we are in the Feb 2nd week where the RBI meeting is there, right? And this time RBI is not going to decrease interest rates. Many people are thinking they might have to increase interest rates, right? So suddenly people are not, or media is not focusing on the RBI meet which will be there in Feb. They are more focused on the budget right now. But once everything goes smooth and the rally happens, they will realize that oil is around 80. Bank RBI meeting is also there where they are not going to decrease interest rate. Might be a chance to increase interest rate, right? So what will happen? Those two scenarios are good enough for a sweep of 11,200 to 10,600 or 500. So this is what we are trying to understand. This expiry, it can breach high. Following this, you need to be very clear. There is a good chance of it to come down, and how far it will come down and how far it will go. So two things we have decided: 10,800 to 11,000 mark it can go, and how far it can come down back to the breakout zone 10,500 or so, right? So that's the basic Nifty analysis that we have tried to do. Obviously 3 full swing day or upside which has happened is kind of detrimental, because the more upside will happen very fast it will come down towards the breakout zone. So for us now, on the bottom side is 10,430 mark, and the second one is 10,530 mark, right? So 430, 530 now becomes a very good base case for Nifty. Okay, on the upside 11,200, 11,000, all these levels cannot be breached, right? So there it has to sustain or reach there and then start the downward rally. Now when I go and see Bank Nifty, the case is completely different. When I see Bank Nifty, and we have been discussing an important resistance level of 25,700 or so, the gap down had happened, it went down, again it bounced back, and then we see it again reached to that important point of 25,700, and there was a swift downfall which took place. After that, again, if you see, a red Moribazu was formed, and if you see, the follow-up selling did not happen, the same likeliness of Nifty, correct? And then what happens? A green candle, gap up, takes out this Moribazu, and then today again gap up on the important level, and if it takes out this Moribazu, okay, to be precise, it is 10,790. So if this is taken out, then you see an upward rally in Bank Nifty, which also supports Nifty, and then 11,000 is there on the cards, right? So Bank Nifty is now showing good amount of up move. If the important level is breached and now it doesn't go below the gap today which it has formed, we are out for a big up move in Bank Nifty as well. Okay, so Bank Nifty will move, Nifty will move, and 11,000 can be there on the cards prior to the expiry. So that is pretty much clear. Now let's see what is moving the index. Are the banks, they are moving, or are the other guys? So when I see over here, the gainer loser today, we have Sun Pharma, which is on the top of the chart. Lupin is there. So basically I can see a little bit of pharma is there. BPCL, HPCL, both the OMCs which were losers on Friday are now gainers today. Okay. Second, when you see all the gainers, obviously the oil factor will play out. So Asian Paint is little bit down, followed by the commodity stocks which are already zooming up, right? So some amount of profit buying, but not big enough, only 0.5% down. Bharti Airtel, which has been always going up from last couple of days, now suddenly you see in the losers section. Okay, we can also go to our website, tradingcampus.in. Now we have a good and simple feature for you. If you go to the site tradingcampus.in, we have something called a screener. Okay, so when you see the screener, you already know on the bullish and the bearish side, and you have anything that you want to scan. So Nifty, Bank Nifty, mid cap, and even FNO. So when I go and see Nifty, or let's say when I just want to cross check on Bank Nifty stocks, you can just do Bank Nifty as well. When I go and see Nifty today for bullish, your top gainers are already there. Apart from that, this is more important, gap up and bullish. Stocks which have opened up and are zooming up is UPL, BPCL, Bajaj Finance, IOC, L&T, and Coal India. Okay, now if you see over here, IOC and BPCL were losers on Friday, and suddenly today they open gap up and they zoom, right? So that is one case where even the oil is going up, still these two guys or HPCL, they are trying to buck the trend or go higher. Apart from there, L&T obviously because of the infra theme, L&T is zooming up. Finance theme, Bajaj Finance is always there, and UPL because of fertilizer. So here you can basically see the stocks which have opened gap up, gap down. Then we have bullish and bearish, all those scenarios. Okay, and now let's go and see on the bearish side. When I see on the bearish side, the top we know Bharti and other two commodity stocks are there. This is more important for me. The stock which opens gap down and keeps going down, which is Bharti Airtel, right? And it was in the gainers section. What happens over here is the stocks which have opened up are now losing the steam. That is more important for me. So if you see over here, stocks like Hero MotoGale, that is fine. Apart from that, IndusInd Bank, right? So yesterday or last time when we saw IndusInd Bank had basically zoomed up on back of the results, but now today it also opened up, but finding some amount of I can say profit selling or basically some amount of retracement. Axis Bank almost at its 52-week high, again happening the same case, and SBI not yet trending upwards. Okay, so this would help you a lot, the screener, to screen out only the important stocks. So we normally look at gap down bearish and gap up bearish, and gap up bullish or gap down bearish in the bullish or the bearish case, right? So that's there for you. You can also select whichever sections you want. Now coming back to some of the stocks. Now when I see Kotak Bank specifically, the reason to choose Kotak Bank is Yes Bank and IndusInd Bank both have had their rallies. What I see on Kotak Bank, it went down. The red Moribazu was formed. It was at the important support level. 1, 2, 3 day. It was almost over there. Today it opens with a gap up, and if you see, it has crossed the important high point of Moribazu. So it is showing a lot of strength. And if you see, if Kotak Bank starts moving up, the first I can say straight away move towards these level of 1040 is there on the cards, right? So that you need to understand, rather than pushing ourselves on Yes Bank and IndusInd Bank, which already everybody knows. Why don't we find a stock which has opened gap up, trying to push itself higher and then above the Moribazu level? And if it crosses the Moribazu level, as we know, there is a good set of up move to 10,040, which can be on the cards, right? So from the banking side, Kotak Bank seems to be amazing stock after this downturn and then going above the Moribazu. Now in the pharma space, agreed that Lupin, Sun all have gone up. I basically saw in pharma, Aurobindo Pharma. So if you see Aurobindo Pharma, a good amount of downfall has happened, number one. If you see, a base formation has taken place around the 652 or so. And what I see over here, it tried to go up, again came down, tried to go up around that 700 mark. There is a huge amount of resistance for Aurobindo Pharma, right? But what I see over here is now a quick and swift reversal that is taking place, right? So if you see a continuous downfall, but it has stopped, and a quick small green candles and pushing itself higher. So agreed that Aurobindo Pharma will get stuck somewhere around 700 or so. Upward rally is only possible after this 700 mark. But the stock has not moved up, but all the pharma pack is basically buzzing, right? So that is one of the other stock. Let's look at the OMCs. So let's look at BPCL, HP and IOC. So if you look at BPCL, what exactly has happened in BPCL? So BPCL, there was an important resistance point over here forming multiple support around the zone of 492. Now what I see over here, a continuous downfall which has happened in BPCL. And what happens today, even after oil being high, it opens gap up, and becomes completely bullish, right? So if it is able to pull up his trend on the up move, tomorrow if it comes down along this range of 491 or so and forms a reversal over here, then you can see a good up move in BPCL, right? So BPCL bucking the trend, and this kind of setup where complete gap up is happening after a huge downfall can basically give you another rally in BPCL. If we go out and see IOC or HPCL, they are not that strong compared to BPCL. Now, if you see over here, IOC also underwent good amount of correction, but there is no gap up or bullishness. The kind of setup which you saw in BPCL is not there in IOC. So I'm more strong on BPCL, okay, than IOC. Then let's go and see HPCL. So HPCL seems to be in a good uptrend manner, where BPCL and IOC are struggling. But here I would say yes, HPCL is now on the good sweet spot going for an up move. Okay, so what we see over here, HPCL, I can say the first one, second one BPCL, and third is your IOC. So when you see three charts, you should understand, okay, the BPCL has now turned, and now the good up move can happen from BPCL from now on compared to HPCL. Until now HPCL was strong, but now going forward BPCL will be further strong, but IOC remains range bound or on the sideways move, right? So that's three OMCs for you. Let's look at two major heavyweights, ITC, and I think during this budget time ITC will show a clear uptrend. If you see over here, ITC has been going down quite some time, and now it is around the 250 mark where a gap down bullish Moribazu was formed, a complete up move took place, reached almost to 266 point. Okay, then it came down. It again is trying to bounce in that zone, but what we see now, which is something very exciting and interesting, okay, it came down and then it sustained over there, gap up, small green candle, gap up, small green candle. But this gap up, if you see, if I just make a line over here on today's gap up, the gap up is very strong. Why? Because the gap up is above prior so many highs which have been formed, right? So today maximum upside will be 266, agreed, but I think if you see over here, it might zoom around this zone and then there will be a clear breakout in ITC. Now mind you, if ITC starts moving up, okay, it will provide added support to Nifty. So if ITC is out to move towards this 270, 277 mark, straight away it can contribute 100 points, not even 100, but 70, 80 points to Nifty, right? So keep that in mind. That can also provide a good support to Nifty. And normally when ITC moves, that is the last leg of Nifty. Okay, we'll come to that later. Now let's go back and see Reliance as well. For quite some time, it is moving on the sideways. So if you see over here, you can basically see kind of a triangle formation which has been formed. As I said, it is moving quite in a range, but if you see over here, it is more and more trying to approach on the higher side. The important thing that we need to understand, the range, agreed, that on the downside is around that 900 mark where it has taken the bounce from here, second time over here, and third time it is now not even reaching to 900, it is 910 now. Something which has happened important in the last 4 or 5 sessions, agreed that it is going up slowly and swiftly, but if you see this particular stuff where continuous selling took place, a good amount of selling, a red body candle, complete Moribazu, and then what happened over here? It opened gap up, again selling took place. So there were two sellers over here trying to bring Reliance down, and suddenly you see gap up, little green, gap up, little green, gap up, little green, right? These candles do not have strength. Try to understand. It will not just swiftly go up. It will undergo one swift fall, bringing it down from this 930 level to 920 or so, one complete red candle. If after that red candle also, if it starts zooming up, that marks another up move to Reliance. Okay, so that will also add weightage to Nifty. So Reliance is in sweet spot, agreed that 914 is like the base case for Reliance, 910 max, to be precise 914, because that is where the gap up has happened. Okay, so for me 914 is very important for Reliance, and what I see over here, two small green candles, three green candles, the strengths are not there. A good red candle will come, and then if you see a reversal happening, that will take it out in the breakout zone. Okay, so Reliance and ITC both are seeming to be very, very good candidate to bring Nifty all together to a new level. Okay, now when we see on the construction theme or the IT infrastructure theme, L&T is already up, so it has already taken a good move which has happened. If you see over here, it's trying to struggle around this zone, and if the above resistance was around this mark of 1260 or so. So finally it reaches 1260, and then you see a good clean upsweep that has happened. So this kind of up move has not happened in Reliance. It has not happened in ITC, right? So both the up moves are remaining. L&T is providing some amount of support. Commodity sectors, pharma sector, and suddenly if TCS gives you a good decent result, IT will also start buzzing. Right? I see a complete case of Nifty going up, and specifically from Reliance and ITC will be the two guys who can pull Nifty up to any level called as 11,000, 11,200. Right? So that will be the euphoria stage, and as we are now ready, if it goes to that 11,200 phase, it has to come back to this 10,500 to 10,400 mark. Not to 10,400, but at least the breakout zone, the gap up and the breakout zone, which is 10,533 mark, right? So keep that in mind once it enters in that phase, and I'm trying to tell you with date that will be in the first week of Feb. And I've given you two reasons. One, oil becoming $80, budget might not be that great where people were expecting, and third, it is the RBI meeting which is also panned out in Feb, second week, right? So all three factors can basically bring Nifty down. So that we need to basically have a bull strategy or a bear strategy. Try to focus on that. Bull is fine, 10,600 to 10,800, but once it goes into euphoria phase, we'll get the puts which are not that costly, and we will make a bear spread, right? So that's it for today. We'll join in tomorrow. Thank you for joining in, and I hope I've given a good, better view on Nifty for next couple of weeks and following in the first week also. Right? Thank you very much. Have a good day.